always had a soft spot for the old Mazda CX-5, and for 2026, it's been completely redesigned. But does it still have what it takes to keep up with the heavy hitters from Honda and Toyota? Let's find out.
We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us.
This is the brand spanking new Mazda CX-5, and it starts at just over $30,000, but this is a fully loaded Premium Plus trim, which is right around 40 grand. Now, of course, what you will pay depends on dealerships in your area, but don't worry, we've got a bunch of tools on the site that lets you know exactly what you should pay. So we've got links down below, or you can just hit that QR code. Now, in the past, I've always recommended the CX-5 because it was really fun to drive, it was relatively premium, and it was also pretty affordable. But now Mazda's gone in a completely different direction here with the CX-5, and I really hope it hasn't lost that zoom quality. I mean, that would be such a shame. That's a big old screen. Now, the previous CX-5 had a small screen. It was only operated by touch in certain circumstances, and it had this rotary dial, and we just didn't really like any of it. But now Mazda has solved all of those problems. I've got a big old screen. It's slightly smaller in lower trims, but it's still not bad. And this is Android-based, so you get all of those cool Google apps. And I do like that it's pretty responsive, right? It's pretty quick to respond to my inputs. But you guys, what is that rendering? Look at that rendering is terrible. Look at all those dumb little pixels. Like, Mazda, you can do better. Now, all of the HVAC controls, they are static down here at the bottom of the screen. We, of course, would prefer physical controls, but at least they're always here. You can just tap, you get this little slider, and it's pretty easy to control all of your temperatures. Now, one thing I can say for Mazda is, man, they design a very comfortable interior. I mean, the quality of this leather in here just feels so nice and soft, and it's comfortable. I could really imagine spending a lot of time commuting or on a road trip inside this vehicle. But one thing that they don't get right is storage and cup holders. I mean, the cup holders are really far forward in front of the gear shift. You just have a tiny little cubby here, and then this cubby is for your wireless charger. The center console has this dumb flippy thing, which I can barely get my hand into. And then once you open it up all the way, like, you guys, it's not even wide enough for my cell phone. My cell phone is diagonal in here. This video is brought to you by Bumper.com. Get an AI-powered summary of a vehicle's history report that is simple and to the point. With just a VIN or license plate number, learn about a car's history quick. To learn more, visit Bumper.com/Edmunds. Look how wide these doors open. And getting a car seat back here is going to be pretty easy because all of the latches are very easy to find, and there's a ton of space back here. I mean, this seat is set for my driving position at 5'9". I've got plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom. The only thing is that I've got this center hump here, so I'm going to say you're probably just going to want to keep 2 people back here instead of 3, and fold this down for the cup holders, because the only other cup holder you get is going to be in the door. But at least rear seat passengers have their own vents, they've got their own lights, and on this top trim, they've got their own butt warmers. So the CX-5 doesn't have as much cargo space on paper as the other two, but I really like the way they've utilized this space. I've got this huge opening, and the seats fold in a 40-40-20. You're not going to be using that middle seat anyway, so you might as well be using it for cargo. Back here, I've also got a 12-volt outlet, 1 light, and only 2 cargo tie downs. And you get a spare tire. So rare these days. I used to always recommend the CX-5 if you wanted a nice handling crossover. I mean, this was the vehicle that you bought if you were an enthusiast and you didn't want your soul crushed by buying an SUV. And unfortunately, that proposal has mellowed just a little bit. I mean, the ride quality is great. The steering is really hefty and it's very communicative, and I love the way it feels in my hands, but like, that handling zing is just, it's just gone. Now there's just a ton of body roll, and if it weren't for the Mazda badge on the steering wheel, like, I think I was just driving any other crossover out there. The CX-5 went from being a standout in the class to just run-of-the-mill. And it's not like it makes up for it with any kind of straight line speed either. I mean, I'd never expect a Mazda to be particularly quick, but this guy, especially compared to its electrified brethrens, I mean, it feels downright pokey, especially when you try to merge or pass. And There's no more turbo available. Oh, and the most you're gonna get is 26 miles per gallon combined, according to the EPA. Ugh, so frustrating. Driver's aids here are just kind of average, but you do get everything that you would expect. However, the adaptive cruise control just feels a little jerky, and the automatic lane changing tech, it's really conservative. And the lane centering, yeah, it does not inspire confidence. But the visibility in here is great, and you have an excellent rear view camera that's also 360 degrees. And you guys, I actually really like the brakes in this thing. Even when you stomp on them, they feel nice and linear. I wanted so much for the Mazda to be like, a Mazda, but it seemed like the engineers had a different idea. So it's not the Mazda CX-5 that I remember, all fun to drive and stuff, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just gone a little bit more comfortable and more practical. Kind of like the next car we've got. Now, the Honda CR-V has always been the king of practicality, what with its large cargo space and the room in the second row for your kids. But its starting price is a little bit more than the CX-5, although it's still in the mid-30s. This one, however, is pushing $45,000. But hey, at least it is fully loaded and you get a hybrid. With the CX-5, it has been leveling up. Does the CR-V still have what it takes to come out on top? Knobs, buttons, a tiny little screen. It might look old school, but it just works. So the CR-V has Google built in on this 9-inch screen, but that Google built in is only on the top trim. But even though it's not as big as what's happening in the CX-5, it's still very responsive and it's easy to figure out. There aren't a lot of menus and submenus to get into. But the cabin, however, is not nearly as luxurious or refined. It's comfortable, but Mazda has just got better materials and a better design aesthetic overall. But where Honda really gets it right is with storage. My cup holders are accessible. There's a little cubby behind that. The front cubby has the wireless charging and then space around that, and the center console is actually usable. So the materials in here aren't as good as what you have in the CX-5, but the comfort level is excellent. The seats feel really plush. The driver's seat is adjustable 10 ways, and we've had folks in here that are under 5 feet tall and over 6 feet tall, and they've all been able to find a comfortable driving position. Plus, every trim gets heated seats. No ventilation though, which seems a little strange to me, but hey, I'm not Honda's mind. Now, no big surprise here in the CR-V. The rear doors open up really wide and you've got easy access to those latches for your child seats. So, hey, throw your kids in the back seat. It's not going to be a problem. But what I really like is that it's much easier to fit 3 people across here because the gear tunnel is not quite so obtrusive into the second row. I still have my own air conditioning vents and I've got some USB ports, but no heated seats. And this is the top trim. Still got my cup holders right here, but also cup holders in the doors, and it's a lot bigger than what you find in the CX-5. Oh, and look at all this knee room. A ton of knee room, but not as much headspace. I'm not sure what's going on here, but did I grow taller? So while there is more room back here in this CR-V, it's just not quite as versatile. This opening here is smaller, the seats fold back in just the traditional 60/40, but there are some nice little touches. I've got 2 lights, a 12-volt and 4 cargo tie downs, although the ones here in the back, they are a little hidden. One thing that you will not find is a spare tire because this one is a hybrid and this is a battery. Look, it's a cold day in HE double hockey sticks when I say that I enjoy driving the Honda CR-V over the CX-5, but grab a sweater, folks, because that day is here. Look, the Honda is a full second quicker to 60 than the CX-5. The throttle is really responsive, the steering is great, and this all-wheel drive version gets 37 miles per gallon. Come on. Now, I wish that there were a standard automatic as opposed to this CVT, and the motor can get a little loud when you actually give it the beans, but all in all, this thing is not bad. Now, the CX-5 is great over bumps and dips, but the CR-V is even better. It's not insulating at all, but it just feels very smooth and easy over even the roughest pavement. I do wish this thing had a 360-degree camera, but it's got all the rest of the expected standard driver's aids, and the lane centering is especially good. Look, I don't think that the CR-V is any kind of backroads canyon carver, but this thing definitely holds its own here. So we've got comfort laced with just a little bit of luxury. We've got some straight up practicality. Let's see what the Toyota's got in store for us. So the RAV4 is the most popular SUV in the country, and we gotta admit, this one is pretty good. But it also has the highest starting price of right around $34,000. Now, this one is a limited, it is loaded up, but it costs just about as much as the CR-V, right around $45,000, but it also is a hybrid because every RAV4 is a hybrid. So that begs the question, is the most popular choice actually the best choice? I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna put that there, I'm gonna put my wallet in here, I'm gonna put these in there, I'm gonna put my keys in the cup holder. Now this is the top trim of the RAV4, so we've got the larger screen, but even the smaller screen isn't that much of a punishment. And folks at Edmunds really like this system. I have always thought it's a little weird because there's no menu button and I can't like add any apps, but the voice recognition is really good and it's super easy to use. And like all the other cars, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but this one will put Apple Maps into your dash. Now the air conditioning controls, Toyota has divided them up into two. So I've got a row here along the bottom of the screen and then a row of physical buttons right here. These buttons here, they're actually to just control the car itself. Y'all, Honda better watch out because Toyota is coming for that storage crown. I mean, look, are these wireless charging pads? Yes, they are. Am I gonna put stuff there? Absolutely. Plus I got the shelf for the passenger, this cubby down here, this, I've never seen storage in the door like this. And then the center console opens like this, and it opens like this, and it opens like this, and you can flip it around. Do I know why you need to do that? No, I do not, but it's still really cool. The materials in here are better than what we've seen in the previous RAV4, but they just can't touch the quality of leather that is going on in the CX-5. Plus, there's just a lot of plastics, and y'all, I don't know what this is made out of, but it feels like a scuba suit. Now the RAV4 sits just a touch lower than the other cars that we've got here today, so it is a tad easier to get in and out. And these front seats, they are ventilated. Hello, Honda, get a clue. But what's great is how comfortable they are, whether you are commuting or out on a road trip. The rear seat here is certainly the worst of the bunch, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that the others are so good. The problem is that the rear doors don't open very wide and the child seat latches are kind of hard to find. But here's what I do like. I got my little pocket right here, which I love. Plus this one has got heated rear seats and its own vents and USB ports. But taller drivers, you might have a problem. This is set for my 5'9" driving position. I definitely feel like I'm down on legroom. The RAV4 is the big daddy when it comes to cargo space, even if this liftgate is a little short. And if you need to tow, this is the one you want. Front wheel drive, you can drag 1,700 pounds behind it, and in all-wheel drive, 3,500 pounds. That is a huge amount of weight for this small of a vehicle. Now back here, I've got a 12-volt outlet and I've got some tie downs, but not really a cargo light. But this is a hybrid, and you know what's under here? A spare tire. So take that, Honda. The Toyota RAV4 is all new for 2026, and it only comes as a hybrid, and that is a-okay with me, because I've got plenty of power and torque, and it delivers 41 miles per gallon combined in this all-wheel drive version. This thing is peppy and smooth. The brakes are easy to modulate. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's the most fun thing to drive out there, but it's not a chore either. You're gonna notice a lot more engine and wind noise in this vehicle, especially around the mirrors. I mean, I had to like crank up my podcast just to cover it up. Now the RAV4 is the first to get Toyota's newest suite of driver's aids, and nothing here is much different, but the controls are still really easy to use. So RAV4, best gas mileage, new suite of driver's aids, and not bad to drive? Yeah man, sign me up. All right RAV4, I see why people like you, but are you worth the price? You know the drill. Let me know in the comments which one of these vehicles you would purchase. And hey, if you dig this video, give us the old like and subscribe. Now, value is where price meets expectation, and that can be a little hard to just put your finger on it. So Edmunds has given each vehicle a rating from 1 to 10. Now, the Mazda CX-5, listen, it's got the least expensive starting price and it comes with all-wheel drive, but you're going to be spending a lot more on gas because this car, as of yet, does not come as a hybrid. So we give it a value rating of 6.7, and that is especially true if you go for the preferred trim. Yeah, it's not the fanciest, but you still get plenty of creature comforts like heated seats and steering wheel and a large 12.9-inch screen. And that means that overall, this vehicle gets a ranking of 6.5, and that puts it 12th amongst all SUVs that we have rated and 3rd in our comparo today. And that leads us here to the Honda CR-V. Now you can get this with just a standard gas engine, but we think that the hybrid is worth it. But because it starts at a little bit more than the CX-5, we're giving it a value of 6.3. Now if you want something that's rugged and comes with all-wheel drive, you should get the Trail Sport, but for pretty much the same price, you can get the Sport L trim, which has plenty of nice features, and you save $4,000 over this tippy top. Now overall, we give this vehicle a very good score of 7.5, which puts it 7th overall in all of our SUV rankings and 2nd here today. So I guess you know where this one sits, right? The Toyota offers excellent value, especially with the XLE Premium trim. For a price that's right around in the mid-30s or so, you're gonna get things like heated seats, wireless charging, quick charge USB ports, the option to add a heated steering wheel, as well as some really cool driver's aids. So overall, we give this a 7 for value, and when you take everything into consideration, it gets an excellent score of 8.1. So that puts it 3rd overall in all of the SUVs we've rated and number 1 here today. Now we've got rankings, ratings, and reviews of these vehicles, plus all their competitors over on the site, and we update them all the time, so be sure to check them out. Now, I really wish that Mazda had kept up with its tradition of being a great handling SUV, and this video, I think, would have turned out just a little bit differently. But as it stands, if you're looking for style, you should definitely get the Mazda, but maybe wait for the hybrid, which is going to be coming out at some point. If comfort is your jam, it is the Honda CR-V all the way, and if you need practicality, you cannot go wrong with the Toyota RAV4. That's it for today, and we'll see you next time.